Thank you for joining us for this valuable presentation on personal branding by Chazin of the Chazin Group. Fairleigh Dickinson Young Alumni Association and the Office of Career Development would like to welcome you to this first in a series of presentations. My name is Chris Bolin, and I'm a member of the FDU Young Alumni Association Board of Directors. I graduated from this campus in 2010. As an alum, I am proud to come back and be able to give back, as well as take advantage of all the great tools that are still offered to me through career development and the Office of Alumni Relations. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce Ethan Chazin, who has graciously volunteered his time. Ethan is the founder and president of the Chazin Group, which he started in 2009 after spending more than 20 years in corporate America. Specializing in executive coaching, business consulting, motivational speaking, and training and professional development, Ethan has served as an advisor to several Fortune 500 companies, such as Goldman Sachs and Calvin Klein. He has also served as a visiting professor at NYU, St. John's, Fordham, Baruch, Hunter, and Polytechnic Institute. Ethan has conducted programs at over 50 colleges and universities. He has also authored the book, Bulletproof Your Career in Turbulent Times. As a career coach and executive recruiter, he has helped place more than 12,000 job seekers into employment. This evening, Ethan will be educating us on what a personal brand is and how do we begin to establish one for ourselves. I encourage you to take notes and ask questions. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Ethan Chazin.
That's quite an introduction. How's everybody doing tonight? How's everybody doing tonight? Great. It doesn't matter how many are in the room, as long as you're energized. I feed off of your energy. So thank you, Chris, and to the Young Alumni Organization of Fairleigh Dickinson and also the Career Development Center. I do want to say straight off the bat that my one single piece of advice to everybody here tonight: if you don't have relationships with your fellow alum formally through the alumni organization, you should. And certainly, if you're still not plugged into career development here at the university, even though you graduate, it doesn't mean you can't take advantage of those significant resources. So definitely two organizations that you want to maintain those relationships with. And you know, tonight's kind of a funny talk, so I want to talk about this thing that most people either resent me for saying or don't even understand the concept. This concept of we're all brands, and to which you may be thinking, I'm not a brand, I am a human being. Well, they're the same thing. And so please give me the latitude for the next hour or so of walking you through what it is that your brand actually does stand for to yourself, what you want it to stand for, and just as importantly, how you convey your professional brand through all your activities that you initiate in your career and your life, actually. But that kind of begs a kind of funny question. What's a brand? And so Chris was kind enough to give you an introduction. My background was 23 years in corporate America, leading marketing organizations at little mom and pop shops, bodegas on the corner, all the way up to huge multinational corporations like Dun & Bradstreet and Reuters and Time Warner Cable. And so I have a pretty deep dive knowledge of marketing. And I've heard when I ask students in my classes who I teach, when I ask them, what's a brand? I get a gazillion different answers. So I want to start out first with what it is that we're talking about tonight for purposes of your brand. And I want to be very clear about this. Your brand is a promise that each and every one of us makes in every relationship that we have with your family, your friends of family, your family of friends, your coworkers, your professors, coaches, mentors. All of the people in your social and professional networks experience you. And so that's what a brand is. It's a promise that every experience that people have with you is consistently three things. And so the question that begs asking next is, what are those three things? Are you at all memorable, unique, invaluable? And this is a really serious question. If you're not, there is unfortunately little hope for you. And what I mean by that and I'm going to be completely honest, you may not like it. The reality is the new normal in America, the average American worker, she will change jobs about 8 or 9 times by the time she's 35. 1 in 4 American workers are now categorized as contract workers, consultants, independents. We're out on our own, creating a flag in our own little territory. And so that's where the brand comes in. Your personal and professional brand is a way to create a measure, an aura of positioning in the marketplace. And so that's why I want to start out tonight by saying, really simply, what's your brand? And I'm not going to hold the microphone in front of each and every one of you and say, all right, give me your elevator pitch, because I do that for a living, and it makes senior executives and high school students and everybody uneasy. But I'm going to start out with a rhetorical question for you to take away from tonight. What is your brand? What it really is this unique selling proposition. All my language is couched in marketing speak, so if you're not a marketing or communications graduate, you have to take it and reposition that in your head. But unique selling proposition is a set of things that comprise only you. That's your DNA. It's your fingerprint. It's everything you've ever done, every class you've ever taken, every internship you ever had, any language you speak, any certificates, any friends you have. It's the collection of everything that makes you totally unique and unto yourself. I want to propose an idea, a really simple idea, which is brilliant. How you see yourself, how I see myself, may have very little reality to the kind of brand or persona we project. I would like you to take up the Ethan Chazin challenge, please. Are you with me? I have no idea who you are. I don't trust you. I'm not going to say yes. I don't know what's involved. Leap of faith. Everything I say tonight is imminently structured to helping you kind of build out your brand. So find 5 or 6 people who love you, who know you really well and still like you, and ask them, in one word, what would you say to describe me? And then step back and don't interrupt them. Let the answers come forth. It may be interesting for you to hear what people who have known you and love you and embrace you, how they would describe who you are. Because the degree to which there's either no difference, which means you project the brand that you actually want, or if there's a bit or even more than a bit of variance between how they see you and how you see yourself, that's an opportunity to fine-tune or tweak your brand. As to why your brand should matter at all, and why I drove out in the rain, Chris drove me from Hoboken to be here at this auspicious institution that, by the way, I've come to before and talked to groups of students about careers and work experience, is building out your brand has a direct correlation on your ability to be successful in any endeavor. If you had to be very cold and calculating about what your brand looks like, the degree to which you can differentiate what it is that you have to offer relative to any other FDU graduate, any other person in your sorority, fraternity, club, your social circles, the degree to which you can say, I am a brand that is unparalleled, will enable you to have conversations around job opportunities, about career advancement. You can, in effect, start to determine your own compensation package, or at least your own salary. This idea of a brand extends to tonight. And every night that you go out, and you go forth, and you do this thing called networking, and you meet people, and you talk about yourself. It's part of what's referred to as an elevator pitch. Your elevator pitch conceptually got its name from going into an elevator with an absolute stranger. You've never met her or him before. And in the time you have to ride up with this complete stranger to the top floor, you need to be able to articulate certain things. Not just that they say, oh, that's nice. That they say, wow, tell me more. And that's really important. So as you start to think about your career and what kind of work you want, what kind of organization you would love to work at, what kind of culture, what are the values, the ethics, do you care about the moral compass of the organization you want to go work for and do eco-sustainability or social corporate responsibility? It starts with answering 3 questions. Who are you? What do you have to offer / what do you do? And who would you love to do that for? See, there's this technical term. Have you guys ever heard of WIFM? It's a mathematical formula. You're not allowed to answer, Chris. WIFM. What's in it for me? When you're talking to somebody, they don't care about what you want, you need, you desire. Newsflash. That's why when your elevator pitch, you structure it based on the audience to what value, brand you bring to the table. And then you adapt your elevator pitch to each audience. So the way this works is your elevator pitch, as you're writing this down, at some point you should be writing down when you start to craft your elevator pitch. Who are you? What do you do? And who do you do it for? And I'm going to talk a little bit more about a guideline on how you determine the who you do it for, but you should all have a short list. Ideally no more than 3 to 4 industries, 6, 7, or 8 organizations in each, that you have done research and have decided these are the organizations whose culture, products, services, place in the marketplace is endearing to me. Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, Disney, Harley Davidson, Tom's Shoes, whoever they are, Apple. You want to craft your elevator pitch to them. You want to write it down. Have verbal and handwriting diarrhea. Don't self-edit. Write it all down. You're not trying to write a paper for school. You're writing down as much as you can, and then you go back and you edit and you edit and you edit until you feel, by the way, it should be no more than maybe 1.5 to 2 minutes. And the average American speaks, unless they've got the Jewish-Italian thing going on, the average American says about 150 words a minute. So in 1 to 2 minutes, you've got about 150 to 200 words to play with. Who are you? What do you do, and who do you do it for? And you're going to write it a few times and perfect it. I would suggest if you've got a smartphone or you have somebody else to videotape it, if you have one of those little voice recorders, record it and practice it over and over and over again. If I meet you at an event like an alumni get-together, and I say to you one of the worst things anybody can say, but we all say it to each other, so what do you do? You need to hit that ball out of the park. And you don't just wing it. You need to rehearse and practice it. So, and by the way, I'm staying after, so if you have any questions, that's fine. Robert Kiyosaki has said, the richest people in the world look for and build networks, and everyone else looks for work. It's not what you do necessarily or how you do it. That's important. We assume everybody has the functional skills to succeed in their desired job or career. It's the power of relationships. You went to an academic institution of which you're sitting in a room tonight in a networking venue. You should be able to think, how do I use career development at FDU and the alumni relations group, organization, to further and build out your network. Really cold word that we call it. I apologize if you don't like it. It doesn't matter. It's the truth. It's a Rolodex. It's your career Rolodex. It's the transferable skills that you take with you and the relationships. So think about your network as you start wanting to communicate your brand. How do you do this? I get this question all the time. High school students, college students, the mature workforce in their late 50s, early 60s, everybody in between. I don't want to leave anything up to chance before you get out of here tonight and you leave. I want to give you an actual written plan. Your written plan, and you can choose to follow this or not, but this is what works. So when you're thinking about who you would want to talk to, who is that person who works in an organization that you would love the opportunity to sit down with her, sit down with him, and just have a conversation? It's your ideal profile, your ideal career contact, in as much detail as possible. It could be somebody who's coming to the FDU speaker series of programs that they have planned over the next few months. Whoever it is, you need to write it down in enough detail so that you have an understanding of where to go next to be strategic in your networking. If you need a little bit of guidance, think about the industries you want to work in, 3 to 4 industries. That's why I said focus it narrowly. If you're looking for a job everywhere, it'll be paralysis of analysis. You won't know where to go next. So limit your search to 3 or 4 industries. Find the 1 or 2 trade associations that serve as the national body. So for example, marketing, the American Marketing Association. If you're in manufacturing, the National Association of Manufacturers. There's always one trade association which is the national body for the most part in any industry. Identify the 3 to 4 industries, the 1 or 2 trade associations in each that represent that industry. And you should know, because we're smack in the middle of October, the year is over. 2014 is done. That may sound weird, but from the middle of November to after the holidays and New Year, those 6 weeks are blackout period. So right now you should be looking at the calendars of events for those 3 to 4 industries, the main trade associations, and you should know come January 1st for 30, 60, and 90 days, so through March of next year, what events are happening that you've put down on your Google Calendar or on your wallboard calendar, wherever you keep track of your events, and you should know where you're going to be over the next 30, 60, 90 days. After that, you want to think about all the business and professional networking organizations that meet up in your areas or your area where you live or where you want to find work. In those trade associations, those professional associations, you want to identify all the organizations. That is your strategic networking plan. That's how you approach this from a methodological, strategic focus. Because otherwise, you're just getting email blasts from places you signed up for, or you're getting meetup invitations based on your profile in LinkedIn or meetup and the keywords that you use to describe you. And then it becomes overwhelming, and then you get dejected, or you get a little bit overwhelmed, and then you pull back. And you maybe don't look as energetically. You want a strategic focus around this. The other thing that I would say to you is I apologize for the religious connotation, but my anointing oil. And I am anointing you all. I'm saving you $150,000 to $200,000. You don't have to go to school to get an MBA in marketing. You're all Uber marketers. Done. No problem. You don't have any student loans. You're welcome. You need to write down the actual strategies you use day in and day out that work. Informational interviews, going to meetup events, soliciting requests with people who you want to talk to sit down and buy them coffee. It's called an informational interview, and get information from them by using LinkedIn. Whatever the handful of those strategies that you feel most comfortable, that bear you the greatest return on your time investment, those are the things to keep doing as part of your branding initiative. I want to put this slide in just because I don't believe that I should talk about it, but some of you may think that I screwed up if I didn't talk about it. Job fairs. Don't ever go to them. Oh, wait. Some of you are looking like, I was planning on going. If you're going to go to a job fair, work it the right way. Find out in advance which people are going to be there, which organizations, and the individuals are typically HR, what we call gatekeepers. They'll be there. Find out in advance the organization. Find out from your alumni or career development center of FDU why they're going to be there. Meaning certain organizations are recruiting on campus or off campus for a number of different reasons. They're looking for different individuals, different skill sets, different majors. Do not ever go to an event without doing your due diligence first to know who's going to be in the room, why they're in the room, and since Meetup and LinkedIn give you access to over 400 million people, you should be reaching out to them in advance and establishing some kind of dialogue before you ever walk in the room. You're going to rehearse your elevator pitch. Every one of you should have a one-page bio. It's your marketing collateral. It's a dossier. It's what Chris read off of the paper that he has of my professional bio. You all have your unique selling proposition, things that make you unique, invaluable, memorable. That should be on a one-page piece of paper that you could send to people or hand to them. Your resumes. I'm not going to talk a lot about resumes in the interest of time. Anecdotally, 99% of all the ones I see stink because of whiff 'em. What's in it for me? You take diarrhea and throw it against the board, everything we've ever done, and you say, I hope somebody will figure out what to read into that. If you have an objective at the top of your resume, get rid of it. If you have a summary of qualifications, get rid of it. You need to have a value proposition, a 1 to 2 sentence introduction into throughout your academic career and all the other work you've had, the things that at a high level they should know make you unique and valuable, memorable, and define your brand as a unique selling proposition. Every job you've ever had, you know those things called bullet points where you just regurgitate all the stuff you did? The bullet point should be written specifically from a car perspective. What was every challenge I faced there? What actions did I take? And what results did I achieve? Then you go back on your rewritten resume and you pull out the challenge piece so that every job you've had on your resume is a list of actions that you pursued and results achieved. And if you don't know how to write this, go find a coach or mentor who's an alum. Go to career development and they'll help you kind of fine-tune the messaging. Your resume is not a boring regurgitation of everything you've done. It's a sales tool. Networking. The problem with networking, if you think about it, is it's not even a term that we use for human beings. It's a computer term. After World War II, when it was us and the Russians, and the threat of mutual assured destruction, and we had all of our data centers in the United States and our computer systems. We had to make sure the computers were interconnected, and if the missile knocked one of them out, you just, oh, that went black, it's off the grid, and the rest of the computers talk together. Networking is not a human behavior. So I came across this concept a few years ago, and I'm sharing it for you for free. The 521 rule. Everybody knows the 521 rule? 521. In 5 seconds, can you say something to me about your brand that says, oh my God, wow, tell me more? Or is it, oh, sweetheart, that's nice. Next. The 2 in the 521 is after they go, wow, tell me more. Tell me about yourself. You can have a few minutes to give an overview in more detail off your elevator pitch about your brand as a promise that every experience that people have with you is concurrently unique and valuable, memorable. And the 1 at the end of the 521, let's take a meeting. You chat a little bit, and then at the end of that conversation, if both parties feel that there's synergy, you can mutual benefit, you don't spend the rest of that evening talking to the one person who's socially shy and they love you, they connect to you, so they just want to hold on to you the rest of the night. You break away, you exchange your business cards. Every one of you should have business cards. And then you make a commitment that you will take an action item of following up after that event. Everyone copacetic? I see a lot of kind of half in, half out. That's okay. If you're on the fence, I got you. Think about the relationships. If you think about all the spheres of influence, think about your friends, think about your family, classmates, students, clubs you were in, Greek organization, student government, group projects that you did. Anybody and everybody that you still communicate with, they are relationships. It's all about relationships. It's all about the people you know and who are motivated to see you succeed. That's the power. It's not career builder and monster, or simply hired or indeed. That's not where the relationships matter. It's relationships in the FDU community. It's relationships in friends and family, and the interdependency between your social and professional relationships. So that's where the Alumni Association comes in. That's why you attend events like this. That's why you talk to people after the speakers, the people who are involved on a volunteer basis. You talk to people like Chris and the other folks from FDU who are here tonight. When you talk about yourself, are you the person that people gravitate to just by nature? I think the visual is a little bit to hit you over the head, kind of moth to a flame. Oh, that's what that was. Do people gravitate towards you, or do they kind of just organically slide away from you? That's your brand. You may think of phrasing in different ways, but that's what's going on. So I want to pose a really kind of rhetorical question. What makes you a S.M.E? A S.M.E, and it's not what's up, it's all about me. A S.M.E is a subject matter expert. Are you seen as somebody who is an expert in your field? If no, then Houston, we have a problem. How do you get that? I made a laundry list for you. Just ask the career development or alumni relations for this PowerPoint. It's here. Do you blog? No? Well, maybe you should consider it. Have you ever written a paper either for the FDU newspaper or have you ever been published? Have you ever submitted an editorial to your local home-based newspaper? What are the things that you do that get your name out there? If you're not sure, I will give you probably the single best recommendation I ever stumbled upon. Get active. Meaning with FDU's alumni organization, and you know 2, 3, 4 industries you're really interested in pursuing, and you know the trade associations that represent that, because you all wrote your own personal strategic networking plan because you heard about it on October 22nd, 2014, you volunteer on their program committee or membership, and you get active, get involved, get out there. Here's something I want to share with you for your resume or your LinkedIn profile. If I were to say to you, what are you 3, 4, or 5 things you've ever done in your career that you're most proud of? Do you have the ability to articulate those moments in your academic career and/or work, internships, community engagement, volunteer work? Are there a few things that you can stand up proudly and say, this is what I've done as an example of things that set me apart? Those are success stories. And you want to think about how do you cultivate those? How do you craft the message around them if you have them? If you don't, we need to create those vignettes of your success. The other thing is going to sound, I realize this sounds cold. I realize this sounds impersonal. I realize there are some cultures that don't even like this kind of behavior and refer to it as you pushy Americans. I understand that. But this is how you set yourself apart. So that gets to the last bullet point. How do you actively promote yourself? And I know that that sounds like, oh, I don't want to constantly be on. I don't want to talk about myself. Well, really? Because that's how you find out what other people are working on and what you are interested in, and seeing if there's a synergy. If what they're doing and what you're interested in doing combine, then it's not about selling yourself. It's about joining an organization in a win-win capacity. It's figuring out who's out there and who's doing what. When I say promote yourself, I'm not saying $1.99 all week, the Ethan Chazin special. He's the blue light special at Kmart. I'm saying be ready, willing, and able, and prepared to have a meaningful conversation about who you are, what you do, and who you want to do it for. That's it. It's meant to be guidance wrapped around building and promoting your professional brand at all times. And you really can't get there until you know who it is that you want to be in a room with. That's what this is all about. For 23 years, I spent time, blood, sweat, tears, and effort helping every organization I work for grow, make more money, be able to expand, and I was laid off, right-sized, re-engineered, downsized 23 times. You're welcome. Thank you very much, corporate America. So 2008, it was October 17th, in case you're interested. I had one of those Seinfeld episode, like wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning with the epiphany. I had just been laid off from the management team at Time Warner Cable, where I headed up their marketing to 50,000 businesses in the Northeast region. And I said, honey, I was talking to my wife. I said, honey, I know what I want to do. I want to go out on my own. And I want to spend the rest of my career helping as many people as possible to find their passion, find what they do really well and what they really love to do. And where those two overlap, I want to help them find their careers. We went to high school together. She's known me my entire professional career. She's narcoleptic, so she can go right back to sleep. I had no issues waking her up. You laugh, but welcome to my world. She rolls over and says, it took you long enough, and goes back to sleep. Well, I had my lawyer / better half's blessing, but how do you go out on your own in this contract economy where everybody's an entrepreneur? I love speaking. I never knew that. I love marketing. I love teaching people how to further their careers. That's what you do when you think about who you are, what you do, and who you do it for. You spend time in your own skin having really deep philosophical, schizophrenic conversations with yourself. What do I really want to do? What's your legacy? What do you want to leave behind at the end of the day? And then you figure out the 3 to 4 industries, and then you figure out who they are, and you craft a compelling message about why you would want to have a conversation with your ideal job profile target. Now, how do you do that? You've got something us old farts never had. It's called an internet and social media. You can reach out to gazillions of people. Does everybody here have a LinkedIn profile? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not seeing 4 hands go up that I wanted to, but okay, here's where I yell at you lovingly. It's instant free access to 330 or 340 million people. Pourquoi? Why not? So, what you want to think about is your resume on LinkedIn is basically the same concept, but it's like on steroids. It's on crack. It does so much more. You think about LinkedIn as a way to make connections or relationship touch points with people who are in certain industries. They have certain job titles. So if you want to think about how to build it, first of all, your title. This is your billboard online. With access to the same population as America, 308 million people in the US, 330 million on LinkedIn. Underneath your name and any kind of undergraduate credential, BS, BA degree, MBA, MS, whatever your academic credentialing is, underneath that, keywords. You are a brand. Think about people searching you. It's all about the search engine optimization. In your profile, you put the words that define your elevator pitch, your brand. Underneath that, you're going to have your background information. That's your summary. That's your story. You tell why you chose Fairleigh Dickinson, why you chose the degree you have, why you chose the classes, why you want to do what you want to do. See, people don't buy from us marketers when we say what we do or how we do it. That's a waste of breath and money. People buy from you when you can tell a story about why you chose to do what you do. That goes into your summary. The other thing that you can do in your profile is create 1- and 2-word skill categorizations. You go in and you create them. And then what happens is once people connect with you, they start saying, yeah, they give you a thumbs up. It's called an endorsement. They basically, these are the people who you've connected with. So you have to connect with them first. But once you connect with people, they can say, Ethan, he does strategy, he does entrepreneurship, he does whatever. So you get thumbs up from people. It's called endorsements. The beautiful part is you've had professors, maybe, academic advisors, bosses, anybody who's in a position to have experienced firsthand your phenomenal brand. Get it in writing. Get a recommendation. This is your salesmanship in print. This is objective feedback or testimonials of people who have worked with you and experienced your radiant brilliance. You're wasting breath when you say, this is what I do. But when other people say, hey, you should hire Ethan or you should hire Chris or whomever because all these other people seem to have been really positively impacted by what you have to do, then the recommendations have more merit and credence. Your summary is talking at an emotional level, again, as to why you do what you do. That's the summary section of your LinkedIn profile. In LinkedIn, you can join, I'm not saying you should, up to 40 groups. That would be insanity. I belong to 40 groups. I'm a moron sometimes. I'm so overextended. But think about who you're going to join. You send in a request to the person who's the group creator in LinkedIn, and you basically, for 9 out of 10 times or 99 out of 100, they'll go, sure, you can join our group. Thumbs up, you're in. This is an opportunity if you don't have an inside view into those 3 or 4 industries you want to get into. This is being a fly on the wall and listening to all the group discussions, monitoring what people are talking about in their respective fields about trends and developments. Why? Because if you seriously want to pursue a career and get into 1 or 2 or 3 different industries, you need to know what's happening in those industries. So you need to get in. But you can't get in unless you have a job in the industry. Well, it's a catch-22. This is a great way to monitor the chatter, to be sitting on the side. And then, once you get a groove for how this group communicates, or 40 groups you belong to, you can start answering questions that people pose. You can start posting or starting discussion conversations. If your name is not out there, and people don't know you're out there, then you're almost doomed because your brand hasn't had a chance to sprout wings and fly. You can even create a group. There are groups in LinkedIn for Fairleigh Dickinson University. Everybody here belongs? That's okay. That's an opportunity for this evening or tomorrow morning to go back in. I'll say right now, I have no idea what Twitter does. To this day, I still don't get it. To me, it's glorified stalking. But it's a way of following the trends beyond Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan and Jay-Z. It's a way to figure out what's trending in terms of what people are talking about. It's building a following. I'll give you a conceptual framework for how you use Twitter. You should be following twice as many people who are following you. As to who you should follow, I already gave you free consulting. I called it that networking strategic plan. Once you fill in that information, those are the organizations that you look to connect to on Twitter, that you follow. Those are the individuals and organizations that you reach out to by LinkedIn and customize a personal greeting to them to invite them to join you in LinkedIn. It's all about building your brand. Hashtag, tweeting, retweeting. I'll save the technology for you guys. You're the experts. I barely have any idea what this is all about. Other than you want to create an online brand. I want to be really serious about this. An online brand that is absolutely consistent and mirrors your face-to-face in tonality, messaging. If you were to go and invite me to connect with you, which I strongly suggest and I'd be happy to, the way I sound online is the way that I sound face-to-face. I'm too old, lazy, fat, and tired to fake this. You get what you get. But that's how, when you're starting your career or you're thinking about a career transition, that's how you make sure your brand is absolutely genuine and authentic. It's called a reputational brand. Your online positioning is equal to how you are in person. And then there's blogging. I mean, I have a whole area of my website that's dedicated to blogging. If you want to go create a blog account, I can talk to you offline about some of the details associated with creating it. There is very few ways that I can tell you that are available to you for either free or near free to create subject matter expertise and build a following for your brand than blogging. I'm not talking about ranting blogs or talking about fashion, which I have a lot of clients who, when I coach them, the first thing I do with a social media audit is I tell them to get rid of most of their social media accounts. This is about talking in topics or subject matter that you're passionate about, that you know you want to pursue a career in, that you want to be known for. And what you can do through social media is engage people. The beauty of the 21st century, I remember I anointed you in the church of marketing. So the anointing oil was, there are two worlds, 20th century and 21st century. The 20th century was a way of marketing where you had no control over the messaging because the internet didn't exist. It was just radio, television, print media. Shush, don't talk back to me. I'm the message creator. I'm going to blast messaging out. But then this annoying thing happened. You guys know Al Gore invented the internet. And so the internet happened, and then one day you woke up and you had 8 million followers on Instagram because you're all that, and you kick and vine and chat and all that stuff. But now the whole nature of the relationship has changed. The people, us who live and exist and have relationships, we chat, we communicate, we create content. That's why you have advantages a lot of us mid-30 to 50-plus-year-olds didn't have when we were starting our careers, because we didn't have access instantaneously to groups and individuals all over the world. You've got that. Leverage it. It's in your marketer toolkit. And so how do you leverage that? Have conversations with people. Ask questions. FDU grad class of 2012, thinking of getting into biofuel technology. Does anybody know any clean tech firms in Hackensack or Madison? These are conversations that you should be starting daily and building your network online. Meetup. It's hard to see from this image, but everybody has a Meetup account? Please let me yell at you some more. Yeah, Meetup. Meetup. It's called Meetup. M-E-E-T, Meetup. One word. Why is it called Meetup? First of all, it's free. It creates an online platform for you to enter your home zip code and any 2 or 3 word combination of anything you could possibly be interested in meeting up with people. You click search and it'll tell you in a 5, 10, 25 mile radius all the groups that get together near where you live that are interested in the same things. In fact, that's why I'm here tonight. I'm here because, as I told Chris, he lives in Hoboken, I live in Hoboken. I was so angry at our town because there was no way for my students who were graduating to get connected if they wanted to start businesses or they were looking to work in green technology or alternate industries. So I had to create a meetup, which is now about 255 people, just in Hoboken, to create a venue for people to get together. And I have people as far away as Pennsylvania and Staten Island coming. I didn't do this because I wanted to. It was a way to create relationships. And I met Chris, and Chris and I got to know each other. And Chris said, hey, there's this speaker series at Fairleigh Dickinson University. I think it would be great for you to come out. That would never happen without me communicating my brand. And so this is a way for you to extend what you do and who you do it for. It's that simple, but it has to happen. Has anybody ever had a 1 or 2 minute video that you've been part of where you're talking? You have a YouTube channel with the video on? Yeah. Cool. You want to talk afterwards. Sir, your name is? Walter. Everybody needs to talk to Walter how to become a social media star. You create your own YouTube channel. Look, I know I'm joking, but it's a digital portfolio. You're creating opportunities to have conversations with people around things that maybe you've appeared in video on. I'm not going to tell you should go out and create a Pinterest account, except that it's another way to extend your brand. If what you're doing lends itself to social media, Pinterest, which is basically a free account, you create a wall. And on this wall, it's an amalgam and a collection of all your interests, things professionally you're passionate about. So you'll see from mine, it's marketing, entrepreneurship, leadership, the Dallas Cowboys, don't be a hater, all those things. I found out, and this should really make you angry if you're one of those people who loves Google without question, that Google sold their soul to the devil a few years ago. Do you guys know about Google selling their soul? They started a company called Google to make the world's perfect search. But then what they did a few years ago, Sergey Brin and Larry Page had an employee annual meeting, and they informed all their employees that from henceforth, your online brand, the way you are found as individuals when somebody searches for you on Google, forget about Bing and Yahoo, is tied now directly to your social relationships on Google+. That's not what Google's business model started out to be. But so if you need to think about what social media accounts should I spend time in, I have no idea about Google+. I have followers. I'm following people. I don't have the bandwidth to be on top of it. But if you want your name, when people are searching on Google, to appear, you may want to think about your Google+ account, creating an account and having connections. It is what it is. I have no control over that. But when you start to think about LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, all these different social media accounts, there's what's called social media management tools. So for free, I'm going to tell you about Hootsuite because that's what I use, but there's a bunch of different platforms. Social media management tools like Hootsuite, you go in, you create an account for free, and you can put up to 5 accounts inside your social media management. So I have my Facebook personal, Facebook business, my Google+, my Twitter, and my LinkedIn. So when I want to start a conversation with people, rather than write the message and then put it in each of those 5, I just put it into Hootsuite, which is a social media management tool, and I have a checklist of the different social media accounts, and I just pick list which social media accounts where I want the message to go. If you want to think about your brand and how you monitor how established you are, believe it or not, you can go and sign up for a free service like Clout, K-L-O-U-T, and it'll give you a numeric ranking on a scale of 0 to 100. 0 is for most people who don't have social media accounts. Even my mother-in-law, who's 84, has a Clout score. So you know what you're up against. And up until 2 years ago, didn't know what email was. And so companies that score 100 are like YouTube and Google. So you say, how do you build this score? This is not a science, and I don't mean to tell you that this is what you're spending all your time on. But you can actually gauge how active your social media online brand is. Go and create a few accounts. Facebook, Twitter's, LinkedIn is the first one I would suggest, maybe Meetup. And then once you go to these services like Clout, it'll say, give me the URL to your Facebook page, your Twitter account. Once you put those in, it'll look at all the algorithms that it does. I have no idea what the mathematical algorithms are. And it comes up with a number in terms of how engaged you are, how many conversations you've contributed to, how many discussions you've started. It's a good way to conceptualize quantifiably how active you are. What I can say, know what they're saying about you. Know what your brand is. You should be able to Google your first and last name in brackets in Google, Yahoo, Bing at least once a month. You may be surprised where your name is. You have a video of yourself. It's surprising. Have any of you ever kind of just searched online for your name? What'd you find out? What'd you find out? Yeah, either of you. Yeah. Okay. Okay, my daughter just took the PSAT. She's a freshman in high school. And I said, you should go Google that. And she looked at me like, why would I ever do that? And I said, because other people maybe. But this is what you're doing moving forward. So you're going to do that in brackets, not just Google. You're going to find out where you are, what's being said about. You're going to do it in Bing also, because some people actually care about Microsoft. I said that out loud, I'm sorry. And Yahoo. And you do this once a month. The reason you're going to do more of this is as you ramp up your branding and online messaging, so you're going to keep track of that. The reason why I want to wrap up now is I've kind of gone a little bit over what my allotted time is. We started a little bit past 7. But I also want to give opportunity for question and answer if anything's on your mind. This is not a straight line race from tonight to some ultimate destination. What you're going to be doing as you build out your brand is you're going to be testing and trying things that work. Again, you're the marketer. In today's environment with social media and the internet and being able to interact with people so quickly, it's basically ready, fire, aim. So throw stuff out there, see what works. What doesn't work, you modify on the fly. But I do want to say that it's really important that you start having this thought process of how do you start to be more actively engaged with the right audiences and getting the right kind of message about what you really want to say. Because at the end of the day, this is an experience you're going to have, which probably will last, depending on who I'm talking to in the audience, anywhere from 20 to 40 years. Think about it. Now's a perfect opportunity. If you've been doing this thing for a while called branding and communicating who you are and what job you're looking for, now's the perfect time to revisit what's working and what's not. If you haven't really started and you're getting ready to jump back in, I would say in closing then, reach back out to Fairleigh Dickinson University or alma mater. Look to career development. Yes, it's not just for when you're actively, studying here, but also the Alumni Relations Organization is a great conduit into the entire universe of all FDU alum. And you'd be amazed at the Hall of Fame when you hear some of the people who have matriculated. You're part of that. So I'm going to stop talking now. I've extended my time, and I'm just going to, can I leave the floor open to some question and answer? Are folks? Okay, you'll give me like a hand signal or like the number 1 when there's 1 or 2 questions left? Okay. Yes, sir.
I wanted to know how you manage in your social medias, like accounts as a person, either as a brand, or do you see like every action that you do, like on Facebook or whatever, is that your interest solely as a business person?
I really appreciate that question, so thank you, because it's not easy and I constantly struggle with it. In fact, a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, I had one Facebook account for personal and professional, and I don't have a lot of social life. I leave that up to my wife. So even on my account was almost all business-related things. And people don't connect with you because of what you do professionally. They connect with you because of interests, hobbies, passions. So I did, at one point, create a business and a personal Facebook page. I'm always cognizant of the fact on my personal page that there are people who may want to interact with me who now have access, even when I limit who can come to my personal page, people see about you on the personal page. So I try to be very cautious of not being too out there, but I do share some interests. I talk about the 3 women in my life, my wife, my daughter, and my dog. She's my favorite. But I'm really careful. It's a balancing act, is what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, you have to understand where you want to put more importance. If you basically your focus with social media is to be social by nature and be about relationships, but not so much about career-related stuff, then maybe you assign some social media for personal, which might be Instagram or Facebook. But maybe you go the route of LinkedIn for more professional social media engagements. I will say, though, that even then you have to use a bit of caution, because whereas LinkedIn used to be seen as the older generation, the less tech-savvy, the 40 and 50-year-olds who are more into business applications, they're now, and many businesses have gone over the last few years to Facebook. Conversely, students, college graduates who are heavily immersed in Facebook have now gravitated towards. So the bridge is now, the traffic's going both ways. That's the best I got. So either as a general rule, be cautious, maybe have some social media accounts for personal, some for professional, but at the end of the day, you really want to extend your professional brand. So the messaging that you use, remember that image of the kitty cat looking into the mirror and thinking it sees a lion? You have to be conscious at the end of the day of what it is that you want people to take away from experiencing you online, thinking that it's Christian Aguilera, but they were looking for Christina Aguilera. But you want them to know what your brand stands for. I'll go one further. If I knew you well and you asked me 5 words to describe you, what are they? We're talking about professionally speaking, by the way. There was another question, another hand that went up. Yes, sir.
You were saying that you made 2 separate Facebook pages, one personal and then one business.
Yes.
In that sense, should he then create a business-specific email as well?
You can. I mean, if we're going to talk about the Google empire, the Gmail empire, you can create a Gmail account, assuming the different permutations of your first and last name at gmail.com are not taken. But I don't think you need 2 separate email addresses if it's fairly, I'll say neutered, if it's fairly innocuous. You know, Chazin at Gmail. I mean, you don't need 2. I mean, I would be always err on the side of being conservative in nature. I have 8 nieces and nephews, from the youngest one is a sophomore at Duke to the oldest one is 28 and 27. She's going to get angry at me, and went to Brown. And so I'm constantly dealing with, I'm the only one in the family who has unlimited access to all their social media accounts, and I'll go through and say, that picture's got to go. That email account you've got, that's not funny anymore. So you have to be sensitive to how somebody who doesn't know you sees it and picks up on it. There's a question in the back.
Yeah, can you speak to, in terms of connecting with professionals, just let's say professionals online, so to speak, LinkedIn, for example.
Yep.
Quality versus quantity. So when I first got into the business, I thought if I just cast a wide net and connect with as many people as I can, that would benefit me. But now I'm kind of finding that I don't know half the people that I'm connected with, and whether or not I should trim that back and make it more quality rather than quantity, or should I keep the door open in case the opportunity arises?
That's also a phenomenal question in terms of how broad a net you cast. Do you want to use, I hate the hunting analogy, it's so unfortunate, but do you want to go hunting with Dick Cheney? He's got a shotgun and he may hit you and you're his friend. Or do you want to use a sniper rifle? So in terms of how do you identify your audience, quantity is always a potential danger. Quality and limiting the number of meaningful relationships you have will get you farther along. Because it's just almost impossible to cast a broad net and being consistent in terms of what your brand stands for. I would rather you have in your strategic networking plan in 3 to 4 industries you've come across, let's say through LinkedIn, you are looking for a job in communications or PR or marketing. So you're looking for somebody whose title is either SVP of Sales and Marketing or Chief Marketing Officer. I'd rather you have the names of 18 to 32 people in 3 to 4 industries with that title at a senior level in that functional area, marketing. So I'd always say building out your network first and keeping it very finite and building deeper relationships. Think about every person you meet as a potential salesperson for the company of you. What I mean is, when you build out your strategic networking plan, that kind of 1 to 2 page document I showed you how to create, if you know 10 people who are friends, family, family of friends, friends of family, you know 10 people, and you share with them that strategic networking plan, and they know you well enough and you've told them, these are the 18 to 32 organizations in 3 to 4 industries. This is exactly what I'm looking to do. You write it all down and you give it to those 10 people. This is math. I don't feel comfortable with this because I'm a fluff guy, but stay with me on this. If those 10 people each know 50 people, you now have a sales force of 10 people who give you instant access to an army of 500 touch points, people, that they can effectively communicate your brand, especially with what your elevator pitch is, because you gave them that strategic networking plan. So long-winded answer, short, less is better. Stick with less, fewer, stronger relationships with people who share your values, your beliefs. They may be at further stages in their career. They're predisposed to want to help you, and they're willing to sit down with you. And once they better understand what you want to accomplish, they will be passionate advocates to go out and communicate your brand. And the other thing is, in LinkedIn, when you send a connection to somebody, LinkedIn does the best and the worst thing in the world for you. It creates a 1-sentence generic introduction. Hi, I'd like to add you to my LinkedIn network. If you send that to somebody, I think they should have the equivalent of an electronic shock, and it goes zzz, and it puts like a taser, because you need to customize that introduction to say, hi, Ethan, I saw you speak at last night's FDU event, was really impressed, would like to pick your brain. I'm a marketing major looking to get into the field of marketing. I'd like to invite you to connect with me. Versus, I'd like to connect with you through LinkedIn. That's one of the worst things you can do, because, again, it's a reflection on who you are, which is your brand. So less is more, and be very strategic on that limited number of people to understand why you're reaching out to them. And don't ever email people. God, that's annoying. Pick up the phone and call. And if you don't feel comfortable, you have a script. Your script is an introduction of what you were going to say to them in the email, and call. First of all, 9 times out of 10, your email, even if you have the right address, it automatically goes to spam on their spam filter. Or conversely, when I talk to you and I heard your voice, you make psychology, makes research into this, that we forge stronger relationships once we hear somebody's voice. So don't email, it's passive. Call, it's proactive. Yes, ma'am.
When we're formulating our elevator pitch, we're talking about like our accomplishment and stuff. Is there a way to make it not sound like bragging, or does it like never come off?
I think when you're talking to somebody, the general sincerity that you convey can limit the amount of bragging. But at the end of the day, what's wrong with bragging? If you walk the walk, why can't you talk the talk? But give me an example. Tell me something that if you and I were hanging out drinking Frescas or iced teas, and you were chatting with me about something that you did that you were really happy about or proud of, just share it with me.
A personal example?
of you that you would tell somebody who may be in a position in an organization that may say, hey, come on in, we'd like you to join us, or they may know somebody in an organization that they can make an introduction for you?
I don't know, part of the understood in here. But like, I just think that like when you're talking to someone, they come off as they're bragging, like they might be predisposed to not like you and then not offer you a job.
Yeah, we have a word for that. You know, you just touched on something that's a real central nerve of mine. You just talked about something that I find really interesting. It's called head trash. Research shows that 65% of everything that every individual, regardless of how gorgeous, attractive they are, or heinously ugly they are, 65% of everything we say to ourselves, about ourselves, is negative. Why do you automatically assume that it would come off as bragging or be seen in a negative light? What if you had a story to tell and it was genuinely and compassionately driven towards helping others, and you just told them, or Chris told you, Ethan Chazin throughout his career has helped 12,000 people find employment. I kept track of the number on purpose so I could tell people. It's the size of a minor league baseball team stadium. But I did it because I'm passionately aligned with helping people find their dreams. Is that bragging? I mean, you may think it is. Yes. No, it's what drives me every day to wake up and do what I do. And I'm excited when I talk about it. And by the way, if you're looking for a job in an organization, understand that there are no jobs right now. I'm going to be quite honest with you. The jobs that exist in the best of economic climates, only 5 to 10% of all jobs where they're advertised. Would you say over the last 7 years that we've been in a recession that there's a significant amount of jobs growth? We're in a jobless economy. So how do you get jobs? You talk to people who you've researched are in a position in an organization that you would love to work at that could benefit based on their challenges with the set of skills that you bring to the table. You craft a message about, I'd love to sit down and chat with you. I see at LinkedIn that your challenge is blank, blank, and blank. Based on my experiences as a graduate student with honors at FDU, I'm in a position to help you. I'd love to sit down with you over the next week or two for half an hour, buy you a chai latte, and talk to you about that. Would that be okay? You're looking at me like either yes, it's okay, or no, it's not. That's how you make the connection with somebody who may not have any idea you exist, may not even know that you need to come work for them. They don't even have a position for you. But if there's an opportunity to bring an individual in a capacity to help them achieve their short and long-term business objectives based on the skills, your brand that you bring to the table, they will find an opportunity for you. And by the way, that was never advertised. You're not going to go and find it on Monster Career Builder. There's no such thing as job searching on the internet. It does not work. This is how, by talking to people about what you can offer them, you make the connection. You're a problem solver, and you don't even know it, but as you go through and you look at your brand, real quickly, I know we have a time stop, but there's one tool I use with my clients. It's called a resume forever. Go back to when you had a lemonade stand, or you were in the Girl Scouts, or you were a tennis instructor's assistant. Go back as far as you can, as far as your memory takes you back, around the age of 10, 11, 12. Think of everything you've ever done. Volunteer work, community work. I had a newspaper route, all the things I ever did. And you draw a line down a piece of blank paper, and on the top left, you put a plus sign. This is as technical as it gets. On the right side, put a minus sign. All the positive experiences you ever had, the kind of work environments, the kind of people, what you were doing. And then on the negative side, conversely, all the kinds of people you couldn't work for, the bad experiences, the kind of organizational cultures or work environments that you didn't enjoy. You write it all down. Take your multicolored highlighters, start to match up on the positive sign and the negative sign, trends, things that you keep reappearing, and you get a very strong sense of the kind of environment you want and the kind of environment you don't want. And then you just position your story to 18 or 32 organizations in 3 or 4 industries, 6, 7, or 8 in each industry that actually can deliver to you all the things that would make you happy. Whether it's Hasbro toys or Marvel comics or Harley Davidson or Disney or Tom Shoes or Zappos or whatever it is. That's how you figure out where your brand would thrive. So I'm going to stop. I wanted to say thank you to Fairleigh Dickinson for inviting me out. And what happens next?